The stars shone like distant diamonds against the black canvas of space. Admiral Jinha stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the main viewscreen of the TFS Indomitable. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his eyes, sharp and alert, missed nothing. "Sir, we have multiple ships dropping out of faster-than-light travel," reported Lieutenant Harin from her station. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing control panel. "I count 50,100. 500? Still counting, Admiral." Jinha nodded slightly. "Show me." The main screen shifted to display the emerging Imperial fleet. Massive warships appeared one after another, their hulls gleaming with polished metal and glowing energy weapons. They formed a perfect attack formation, a wall of firepower that stretched across the viewscreen. "Final count?" Jinha asked, his voice calm. 4,000 ships, Admiral," Harin answered. "The largest Imperial battle group ever recorded." A low whistle came from somewhere on the bridge. Jinha didn't bother to identify which crew member had broken protocol. He understood the feeling. 4,000 Imperial warships against their fleet of just 300 Terran vessels. On paper, it looked like suicide. "They're hailing us, sir," said Communications Officer Quan. "Priority channel, it's the Imperial flagship." Jinha straightened his uniform jacket. "Put them through." The screen changed to show the face of an Imperial commander. His skin was pale blue, his eyes solid black without pupils, the mark of the ruling species of the Galactic Empire. "I am High Commander Rex of the Imperial Sovereign," the alien announced. His voice was deep and smooth, translated perfectly by the ship's computers. "To whom am I speaking?" "Admiral Jinha of the Terran Defense Fleet. Welcome to human space, Commander." Rex's expression hardened. "This is not a welcome, human. This is a reckoning? Your species has rejected 3 formal invitations to join the Empire. Such defiance cannot stand." Jinha's face remained neutral. "We prefer to maintain our independence." "Independence?" Rex laughed, the sound sharp and cold. "Look at your fleet, Admiral. 300 ships against 4,000. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your worlds are unprotected. Your species is young and weak." On the bridge of the Indomitable, the crew watched their admiral carefully. They knew what was coming. They had seen this play out before. "Perhaps," Jinha agreed with a small nod. "But we respectfully decline your offer of protection all the same." Rex leaned forward, his black eyes seeming to burn with intensity. "This is not an offer. The Emperor has lost patience with humanity. You will submit to Imperial rule, or we will reduce your worlds to ash. You have 1 Earth hour to surrender." The screen went black as Rex cut the transmission. For a moment, silence filled the bridge. Then Jinha turned to his crew. "Well, he said with the hint of a smile. That was dramatic." The tension broke as several crew members chuckled. "Orders, sir?" Asta-Dashara and Jinha walked to the central command table, where a holographic display showed both fleets. The Imperial ships were arranged in a perfect attack formation textbook. Military strategy taught in every war college across the galaxy. "Contact Earth Command. Inform them that the Empire has arrived with 4,000 ships and has demanded our surrender within the hour." Quan nodded and sent the message. Less than a minute later, the response came through. "Earth Command acknowledges." "Admiral," Quan reported. Their message reads, "Proceed as planned." "Have fun." Jinha's smile widened slightly. "Have fun. I do appreciate Earth Command's sense of humor." He turned to his tactical officer. "Lieutenant Jack Morrison, are our special packages ready?" Morrison, a stocky man with a scar running down his left cheek, nodded. "Yes, sir. All 300 ships are equipped and ready. And our friends in the shadows?" "In position, Admiral. They're just waiting for the signal." Jinha nodded, satisfied. "Then let's not keep the Empire waiting." "Harin, open a channel to the Imperial flagship." The screen lit up again, showing Rex's impatient face. "Your hour is not yet up, human. Have you come to your senses?" "I wanted to give you our formal response," Jinha said politely. "We have considered your generous offer to surrender and become part of the Galactic Empire. Rex's expression turned smug. A wise decision. Oh, I didn't. Say we accepted? Jinha corrected him. In fact, we must decline? Again? The smugness vanished from Rex's face, replaced by cold anger. Then you have chosen extinction. Our weapons are locked on your pathetic fleet. We will destroy you, then move on to your colonies, and finally to Earth itself. Jinha sighed as, if disappointed? Before you begin, I should warn you about something. Warn me? Rex laughed. About what? About humans, Jinha said simply. You see, the Empire has made a common mistake. You've judged us by our numbers, by the age of our civilization, by the apparent level of our technology. But you've missed something important, Rex's eyes narrowed. And what is that? Humans evolved on a death world, Jinha explained. Earth tried to kill us every day with predators, diseases, natural disasters, and even other humans. We didn't just survive, we thrived. We don't think like your other conquered species. We don't fight like them either. Spare me your primitive boasting, Rex snapped. Your evolutionary history is irrelevant. Jinha shrugged. As you wish, but remember we warned you. He signaled to Quan to cut the transmission. All ships, battle stations, Jinha ordered. Activate defense protocols. Deploy the packages on my mark. Throughout the Terran fleet, crews moved with practiced efficiency. What looked like ordinary warships began to change. Hidden systems came online. Weapons that had been disguised as standard equipment revealed their true nature. On the Imperial flagship, Rex gave the order to attack. 4,000 ships fired as one, sending a wall of energy weapons toward the human fleet. Packages away. Morrison reported as the Imperial weapons fire approached. From each human ship, dozens of small objects launched into space. They were too small to be missiles, too slow to be fighters. The Imperial sensors barely registered them. Shields holding, Haring reported as the Imperial attack hit. Minimal damage to outer hull plating, all systems functional. Jinha nodded, unsurprised. And our packages? Morrison grinned. All successfully delivered, sir. They're attaching to Imperial ships now. On his tactical display, Jinha watched as the small devices, each no bigger than a human hand, attached themselves to Imperial warships. For a moment, nothing happened. Then one by one, Imperial ships began to lose power. What's happening? Rex demanded as reports flooded in from across his fleet. What are these devices? Jinha smiled as he watched the confusion spread through the Imperial formation. The mighty Galactic Empire was about to learn what every adversary of humanity eventually discovered. Humans didn't play by the rules. They changed the game entirely. Now, Jinha said quietly, the real fun begins. Commander Quan sat alone in his quarters aboard the TFS Defiant, reviewing historical logs on his datapad. The soft blue light illuminated his tired face as he scrolled through humanity's journey to the stars. He had studied these records countless times, but today they felt more important than ever. Computer, display Earth's first contact with the Galactic Empire, he commanded. The screen shifted to show footage from 50 years ago. A massive Imperial ship hovering over the United Nations. Building in New York, diplomats from Earth meeting with blue-skinned Imperial representatives. The signing of what was supposed to be a friendship treaty. Quan paused the footage and sighed. How quickly that friendship had turned to demands, then to threats. His door chimed. Enter, he called. Lieutenant Harin stepped inside, carrying 2 steaming cups. I thought you might need this, sir, she said, offering him one. It's been a long day, thank you. Quan accepted the cup gratefully. Any updates from the battle? Admiral Jinha's packages have disabled nearly 300 Imperial ships already, Harin reported with a small smile. The Empire is scrambling to understand what's happening. They've stopped firing and are trying to remove the devices. Quan nodded. Good, that gives us time. Harin glanced at his screen. Studying our history again, sir? Yes, I find it helps to remember where we came from. He gestured for her to sit. Do you know why humans are so different from the other species in the Empire? Harin sat across from him. My grandfather used to say it was because Earth tried to kill us every day. Quan laughed. Your grandfather was a wise man. Earth was never gentle with humans. We evolved on a planet with extreme weather, deadly predators, and countless diseases. Most species in the Empire evolved on much more forgiving worlds. He tapped his screen, bringing up images of Earth's history. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, wars, plagues. The Empire doesn't understand us because they can't imagine our history, Quan continued. Their species evolved toward specialization and harmony with their environments. Humans evolved for adaptability and survival against all odds. Huron studied the images. Is that why they keep underestimating us? Exactly, Quan nodded. When humans first reached the stars, the galactic community viewed us with a mixture of curiosity and disdain. We were primitive newcomers with basic spacecraft and no unified planetary government. He swiped to show the first human colony ships. They looked crude compared to Imperial vessels, but they had carried thousands of people safely to new worlds. The Empire first tried to bring us in peacefully, Quan explained. They offered protection, technology, and trade. But their idea of protection meant giving up our independence. Their trade meant taking our resources for almost nothing in return. And when we refused, Harin asked, though she knew the answer, they tried economic sanctions, blocked our ships from certain trade routes, limited our access to certain technologies. Quan shook his head. They thought they could starve us into submission. But that's not how humans work, Harin said. No, it's not, Quan smiled. Instead of breaking us, it made us more determined. We found new trade partners. We developed our own technologies. We expanded faster than they thought possible. He brought up images of the first human battle with Imperial forces, a small skirmish at the edge of human space. 5 Imperial warships against 2 human defenders. Against all odds, the human ships had won. That was when the Empire realized we might be a real problem, Quan said. They sent diplomats again, this time with thinly veiled threats, join the Empire or face destruction. And we refused again, Harin said. We did, 3 times now. Quan finished his drink. Each time they've sent a larger force. Each time they've failed to understand what they're really fighting. The ship's communication system chimed. Commander Quan, came Admiral Jinna's voice. Report to the bridge. Phase 2 is about to begin. On my way, Admiral, Quan replied, standing up. He turned to Harin. Let's go show the Empire another history lesson. On the bridge of the Imperial flagship Sovereign, chaos reigned. Hi. Commander Rex moved from station to station, demanding answers that no one could provide. What are these devices? He shouted at his chief engineer. How are they shutting down our systems? The engineer, his blue hands shaking, studied the scans. They appear to be some kind of technology disruptors, sir. They're not destroying our systems, they're turning them off. That's impossible, Rex snapped. Our technology is protected against all known forms of sabotage. All known forms, yes, the engineer agreed nervously. But this this is something new. Rex turned to his tactical officer. Status of the fleet? 800 ships affected. So far, sir, the officer reported grimly. The number is growing. The devices are spreading somehow. Spreading? Rex's black eyes widened. What do you mean, spreading? They're replicating, sir. Each device is creating more of itself using materials from our own ships. Rex slammed his fist on a console. Impossible. No species has self-replicating technology. This advanced, especially not humans. His communication officer interrupted. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship. Put it through, Rex growled. Admiral Jinna's calm face appeared on screen. Hi, Commander. I see you're having some technical difficulties. Perhaps we should discuss terms again? What have you done to my ships? Rex demanded. Jinha smiled slightly. We've introduced them to something we call nanits. Microscopic machines that can build more of themselves. Right now, they're just disabling your weapons and engines. They could do much worse. This technology is beyond humans, Rex insisted. You must have stolen it from another species. No, Commander, we developed it ourselves. Jinha's expression grew serious. You see, that's what the Empire never understood about humans. We don't evolve technology the way other species do in a straight, predictable line. We jump forward in unexpected ways. Impossible, Rex repeated, but with less conviction. Let me tell you a story, Jinha continued. 200 years ago, humans were still burning fossil fuels and fighting each other over resources. 100 years ago, we developed fusion power and united our planet. 50 years ago, we reached the stars, and now... He gestured to the disabled Imperial ships. Now we're here. Rex stared at the human admiral. What do you want? The same thing we've always wanted, to be left alone. Jinha leaned forward. But you should know that what you're seeing is just a small demonstration of what humans can do when threatened. As if on cue, a new alert sounded on the Imperial bridge. Sir, the tactical officer called out, we're detecting new ships. They're appearing out of nowhere. Rex turned to his view screen in disbelief. Where there had been empty space moments before, hundreds of new human vessels now floated. They had appeared without warning, without any sign of faster-than-light. Travel, Phase 2, Jinha explained calmly. What you're seeing is our actual defense fleet. The 300 ships you've been fighting? Those were just the advance guard. Rex sank into his command chair, his blue face paling to a lighter shade. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something unfamiliar. Fear. Who? Are you people? He whispered. Jinha's answer was simple. We're humans, Commander. And you're about to learn what that really means. High Commander Rex stared at the view screen, his black eyes fixed on the human ships that had appeared from nowhere. His bridge crew worked frantically around him, trying to make sense of what they were seeing. How did they do this? Rex demanded. Of no one in particular? Ships cannot simply appear. His science officer, trembling slightly, looked up from her readings. Sir, they didn't just appear, they were hidden. Hidden? 400 warships cannot hide in empty space. They were using some kind of technology that bent light around them, the science officer explained. Our sensors saw nothing because there was nothing to see. The light from the stars behind them reached us without interruption, Rex's fist clenched. Impossible. No species has perfected cloaking technology on this scale. The humans have. His second-in-command said quietly. Rex turned back to the view screen where Admiral Jinha's face still watched him calmly. The human showed no sign of worry or stress. If anything, he looked patient, like a teacher waiting for a slow student to understand a simple lesson. You've made your point, human, Rex said, trying to keep his voice steady. Your technology is impressive. Perhaps we can discuss terms after all, Jinha nodded. I'm glad you're being reasonable, Commander. As a show of good faith, we'll deactivate the nanites on your command ship. Your systems should return to normal in a few minutes. True to his word, the lights and systems on the Imperial flagship began to come back online. Rex felt a small measure of control return, but the sight of the human fleet, now 700 ships strong against his increasingly disabled 4,000, kept his confidence in check. I propose a meeting, Rex said, face to face, to discuss the future relationship between the Empire and humanity. Jinha considered this, agreed. You may bring 2 officers. We'll meet on neutral ground, the space station at the edge of this system. Very well. 2 hours from now. The transmission ended, and Rex immediately turned to his officers. I want everything we have on humans. Their biology, their psychology, their weaknesses, everything. His intelligence officer brought up files on a screen. Humans evolved on Earth, a Class 4 death world. High gravity, extreme weather patterns, diverse predators, and thousands of diseases. A death world? Rex was surprised. How did they survive long enough to develop intelligence? That's what makes them unique, sir. Most species evolved to fit perfectly into their environment. Humans evolved to change their environment to fit them. The officer displayed images of Earth's history, humans surviving ice ages, building shelters against the elements, creating weapons to hunt predators that should have hunted them. They're physically unimpressive, the officer continued. No natural weapons, no armor, not particularly strong or fast. But their brains develop differently than most species. They can imagine things that don't exist, then make them real. Rex studied the images, and their weaknesses? They're emotional. They form strong attachments. They care about individuals rather than just the species as a whole. Good, Rex said. We can use that against them. His second-in-command looked concerned. Sir, with respect, I don't think threatening them is wise. They've already demonstrated technology beyond our understanding. I don't intend to threaten them, Rex said with a thin smile. I intend to understand them, then control them. 2 hours later, a small Imperial shuttle docked at the space station. Rex stepped out, flanked by his second-in-command and his intelligence officer. They were met by a human security team who escorted them to a large meeting room. Admiral Jinha was already there, along with Commander Quan, and a human Rex didn't recognize, a tall man with a scar on his face. Hi, Commander, Jinha greeted him. Thank you for coming. This is Commander Quan, my second-in-command, and Captain Jack Morrison, head of Special Operations. Rex nodded stiffly. Let's get to the point, Admiral. Your technology has impressed me. The Empire could benefit from an alliance with humanity. Jinha smiled slightly. An alliance? Just hours ago you demanded our surrender. Circumstances have changed, Rex said smoothly. I recognize now that humans have been underestimated. Yes, we have, Jinha agreed. But I'm curious, what kind of alliance are you proposing? Rex leaned forward. The Empire can offer protection, access to 1,000 worlds for trade, and cultural exchange. In return, we ask for sharing of your unique technologies and a small tribute of resources. Jinha and Quan exchanged glances. Captain Morrison's face remained expressionless, but his eyes never left Rex. That sounds very similar to your original demands, Jinha observed, just wrapped in prettier language. Rex's blue skin darkened slightly, the equivalent of a human flush. I assure you, Admiral, the Empire sees humans as equals now. Does it? Jinha asked. Or are you simply changing tactics because force didn't work? Before Rex could answer, Captain Morrison spoke for the first time. He's lying, Rex turned to the scarred human. Excuse me? You're lying, Morrison repeated calmly. You have no intention of treating humans as equals. You're stalling while your fleet tries to disable our nanits. You're also transmitting this entire conversation back to your ship. The Imperial commander stiffened. That's a serious accusation. Morrison tapped a small device on the table. A holographic display appeared, showing the active transmission from a device hidden in Rex's uniform. We know how the Empire works, Commander, Morrison said. You find species with useful technology, pretend to befriend them, then slowly take control. When you have what you want, you reduce them to second-class citizens or slaves. Rex's black eyes narrowed. You know nothing about the Empire. We know everything about the Empire, Juan corrected him. We've studied your history, your tactics, your biology. We know that your species conquered the original 12 members of the Empire 300 years ago. We know that you keep them in line through a combination of technology restrictions and military presence. Jinha leaned forward. We also know that 3 other species have mysteriously gone extinct after refusing to join the Empire. Rex stood abruptly. This meeting is over. The Empire will not be insulted by primitives who got lucky with a few technological tricks. As he turned to leave, Morrison spoke again. Your fleet is trying to target our new ships right now. It won't work. Rex froze. What? Your weapons officers are attempting to lock onto our phase-shifted vessels, Morrison explained. They can't because those ships exist partially in another dimension. Your weapons can't hit what isn't fully in this reality. The Imperial commander turned slowly. Another dimension? Jinha nodded. Humans don't just think outside the box, Commander. We question whether the box needs to exist at all. Rex stared at the 3 humans, his mind racing. Everything he thought he knew about warfare, about technology, about the natural order of species development was being challenged. What do you want? He finally asked, his voice barely above a whisper. We told you from the beginning, Jinha said simply. We want to be left alone. We want the Empire to acknowledge human space as independent territory. We want trade on equal terms, not exploitation disguised as protection. And if the Empire refuses? Jinha's expression remained calm, but his eyes hardened. Then we'll be forced to demonstrate more of what humans can do when threatened. Trust me, Commander, you've only seen the beginning. Rex looked at each human. Face in turn, he saw no fear, no uncertainty. Only determination and a strange confidence that he couldn't understand. For the first time in the history of the Galactic Empire, a High Commander considered the unthinkable, retreat. Rex returned to his flagship in silence, his mind racing with what he had learned. The humans were not what the Empire had believed them to be. They were not simple, not primitive, and certainly not afraid. Orders, sir? His second-in-command asked as they reached the bridge. Rex stared at the tactical display. Nearly half his fleet was disabled by the human nanites. The rest were operational, but facing an enemy with technology they couldn't understand. The logical choice was clear. Prepare the fleet for withdrawal, he said quietly. His officers looked at him in shock. The Empire never retreated. Sir? His tactical officer questioned. Did I hear correctly? Rex turned, his black eyes flashing with anger. You heard me. The humans have technology we cannot counter. We need to regroup and develop new strategies. The communication officer interrupted. Sir, we're receiving a transmission from Imperial Command. Rex felt a chill run down his spine. Put it through to my private chamber. In his quarters, Rex faced the stern image of Grand Admiral Zar, the Emperor's right hand. The ancient Imperials. Blueskin was dark with age, his black eyes surrounded by deep wrinkles. High Commander, Zar began without greeting. Our monitoring stations have detected unusual activity in your sector, explain. Rex straightened his posture. Grand Admiral, we have encountered difficulties with the humans. Their technology is more advanced than our intelligence suggested. Impossible, Zar dismissed. Humans are barely a century into space travel. What technology could they possibly have that challenges the Empire? Rex explained what they had witnessed, the nanites, the phase-shifted ships, the dimensional technology. With each word, Zar's expression grew darker. You believe these human claims? Zar asked when Rex finished. I have seen it with my own eyes, Grand Admiral. They disabled half my fleet without destroying a single ship. They have vessels that can hide between dimensions. Zar was silent for a long moment. The Emperor will not accept retreat, High Commander. The humans must be taught their place. With respect, Grand Admiral, I do not believe. Your belief is irrelevant. Zar cut him off. I am dispatching the Imperial Guard fleet to your position. They carry our newest weapons technology. You will wait for their arrival, then you will crush this human resistance. The transmission ended before Rex could respond. He stood alone in his quarters, facing an impossible choice: obey orders he knew would fail, or defy the Empire he had served his entire life. Aboard the TFS Indomitable, Admiral Jinha received the news with a calm nod. So they're bringing reinforcements, he said to his officers gathered in the command center. How many ships? Our deep space sensors detect 5,000 more vessels, Harin reported. These appear to be Imperial Guard class, they're elite. Forces, Jinha turned to Jack Morrison. Captain, your assessment? Morrison studied the tactical display. They're bringing their best ships and weapons. This won't be like the first wave. The Imperial Guard are true believers, fanatics who will die before they surrender. And their weapons? Jinha asked. Unknown, Morrison admitted. But Imperial intelligence suggests they've been developing anti-phase technology. They might be able to target our shifted ships, Commander Kwan frowned. How could they develop countermeasures so quickly? They couldn't, Morrison said. But the Empire has been fighting phase-capable species before. The Altarians had similar technology, before they mysteriously went extinct. Jinha's expression darkened. So the Empire destroyed an entire species to get their technology. It appears so, Morrison confirmed. Jinha was quiet for a moment, considering their options. How long until the Imperial Guard arrives? 6 hours. At their current speed? Harin answered. Then we have 6 hours to prepare. Jinha turned to his officers. Contact Earth Command. Inform them of the situation and request activation of the Lazarus Protocol. The officers exchanged glances. The Lazarus Protocol was their most closely guarded secret, a last resort that had never been used in actual combat. Are you sure, Admiral? Quan asked quietly. Once we reveal that technology... The Empire has already shown they'll destroy entire species for their technology, Jinha said firmly. If we don't use everything we have, we might be next. Morrison nodded in agreement. I'll begin preparations. We'll need to position the fleet differently to accommodate the protocol. Do it, Jinha ordered. And send a message to High Commander. Rex, tell him we know reinforcements are coming. Tell him we're giving him one last chance to withdraw before they arrive. On the Imperial flagship, Rex received the human message with a mixture of surprise and dread. How had they known about the reinforcements so quickly? Their intelligence capabilities were clearly far beyond what the Empire had believed possible. Sir, his tactical officer reported, we've managed to restore weapons to 60% of our disabled ships. The human nanites are proving difficult to remove completely. Rex nodded absently, his mind on the choice before him. The humans were offering him a chance to withdraw his fleet before the Imperial Guard arrived. If he took it, he would be branded a coward at best, a traitor at worst. If he stayed. Sir, his science officer interrupted his thoughts. I've been analyzing the data from our encounter with the human ships. There's something you should see. Rex moved to her station. On her screen was an energy reading unlike anything he had seen before. What am I looking at? He asked. It's from the human ships, sir. Specifically, the ones that appeared out of nowhere. She pointed to a pattern in the data. This energy signature doesn't match anything in our database, but it's similar to theoretical models of... Well, sir, it looks like they're manipulating the fabric of space-time itself. Rex stared at the readings. Is that even possible? According to our science, no, but the humans are doing it. She looked up at him, her black eyes wide. Sir, if they can manipulate space-time, there's no telling what else they might be capable of. Rex returned to his command chair, weighing his options. The Empire had existed for 1,000 years. It had conquered hundreds of worlds, absorbed dozens of species. It had never retreated, never surrendered, but it had also never faced anything like humans before. Send a message to Admiral Jinha, Rex finally decided. Tell him I wish to speak with him again. His officers looked shocked, but no one dared question him. The message was sent, and minutes later, Jinha's face appeared on the view screen. High Commander, the human greeted him. Have you made your decision? Rex met the humans. Gazed steadily. I have questions first. This technology of yours, these nanites, these phase-shifted ships, where did it come from? Did you steal it from other species? Jinha shook his head. No, Commander. Humans developed it ourselves. You see, there's something about humans you still don't understand. And what is that? Rex asked. Jinha's answer was simple but chilling. We never stop imagining what could be possible. The 6 hours passed quickly as both fleets prepared for what was coming. On the bridge of the TFS Indomitable, Admiral Jinha watched the tactical display with steady eyes. The remaining Imperial ships had formed a defensive position, waiting for their reinforcements. Admiral, Lieutenant Harin called from her station, the Lazarus units are in position. Jinha nodded. Status of the Imperial Guard fleet? They'll arrive in 20 minutes, Commander Quan reported. 5,000 ships as expected. Their weapons are hot and their shields are at maximum. Jinha turned to Captain Morrison. Your team's ready, Captain? Morrison's scarred face showed no emotion, but there was a glint in his eyes. Yes, sir. Special operations teams are aboard all designated vessels. They're just waiting for the signal. Good. Jinha faced the view screen. Open a channel to High Commander Rex. Rex's face appeared on screen. The Imperial commander looked tired, his blue skin a shade paler than before. "Admiral Jinha," Rex greeted him stiffly. "I see you're still here. I had hoped you would reconsider and withdraw your fleet." "I could say the same to you, Commander," Jinha replied. "Your reinforcements will be here soon. This is your last chance to avoid what's coming." Rex's black eyes narrowed. "The Empire does not retreat. When the Imperial Guard arrives, you will face the full might of our technology." "Is that technology worth the lives of your crews?" Jinha asked quietly. For a moment, something like doubt crossed Rex's face, then his expression hardened again. "The Empire has ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years. We will not be threatened by newcomers, no matter how clever your tricks." Jinha sighed. "Then you leave us no choice." "For what it's worth, Commander, I take no pleasure in what's about to happen." He signaled to Quan to end the transmission. "All ships, battle stations," Jinha ordered. "Activate the Lazarus Protocol on my mark." Throughout the human fleet, crews moved with practiced efficiency. What looked like ordinary sections of their ships began to transform. Panels slid open, revealing devices that glowed with strange energy. The phase-shifted vessels adjusted their position, forming a precise pattern around the main fleet. "Imperial Guard fleet dropping out of faster-than-light travel," Harin announced. "They're here." The space before them seemed to tear open as 5,000 Imperial warships appeared. They were larger than Rex's vessels, their hulls darker and covered with more weapons. They moved into attack formation with perfect precision. "They're hailing us," Quan reported. "Ignore it," Jinha said. "They're not interested in talking." As if to prove his point, the Imperial Guard ships opened fire. A wall of energy weapons streaked toward the human fleet. "Lazarus Protocol now!" Jinha commanded. The devices on the human ships activated simultaneously. The space between the fleets changed. There was no other word for it. The Imperial weapons fire didn't hit shields or armor. Instead, it seemed to slow down, then stop completely, suspended in space like insects in amber. "Phase 1 complete," Morrison reported. "The temporal field is holding." On the Imperial ships, confusion reigned. Their weapons had fired, but nothing had happened. The energy blasts simply hung in space, not moving forward. "What is this?" the Imperial Guard commander demanded. "What have they done?" His science officers stared at readings that made no sense. "Sir, they've somehow created a localized time distortion. Our weapons fire is still moving, but at less than 1/millionth of normal speed." "Impossible," the commander shouted. "No species has mastered temporal manipulation." On the Indomitable, Jinha watched calmly. "Phase 2, Captain Morrison." Morrison nodded and spoke into his communicator. "All special operations teams execute." Across the battlefield, something unprecedented happened. Small human vessels that had been hiding among the debris of earlier fighting suddenly activated. They didn't attack the Imperial ships from the outside. Instead, they somehow phased through the hulls, passing through solid metal as if it weren't there. Inside the Imperial flagship, alarms blared as sensors detected intruders. Armed guards rushed to defend key areas, but they weren't prepared for what they faced. Human soldiers in strange armor appeared inside secure rooms without warning. They didn't fire weapons or engage in combat. Instead, they placed small devices on critical systems, then disappeared again. The Imperial Guard commander watched in horror as his ship's systems began shutting down one by one. "What's happening?" he demanded. "Intruders, sir," his security chief reported, panic in his voice. "They're appearing and disappearing throughout the ship. We can't stop them." "How are they getting through our shields? Through solid walls?" No one had an answer. The same scene played out across hundreds of Imperial vessels. Human special forces appeared inside engine rooms, weapons control centers, and command bridges. They placed their devices and vanished before they could be stopped. On the Indomitable, Harin reported, "Phase 2 complete, Admiral. Special operations teams are returning to their vessels." Jinha nodded. "And the devices?" "All successfully planted," Morrison confirmed. Ready to activate on your command? Jinha looked at the tactical display. 5,000 Imperial Guard ships, the pride of the Empire's fleet, hung in space before them. In moments, they would be at humanity's mercy. Send a message to both Imperial commanders, Jinha ordered. Tell them we wish to discuss terms. High Commander Rex and the Imperial Guard commander? A stern-faced Imperial named Dex appeared on the view screen together. Both looked shaken. What have you done to our ships? Dex demanded without preamble. We've placed control devices throughout your fleet, Jinha explained calmly. Right now, they're dormant. If I give the order, they'll activate and give us complete control of your systems. Impossible, Dex insisted. Our ships have the most advanced security in the galaxy. Your security is designed to keep enemies out, Jinha said. But what if your enemies don't need to come in through doors or hatches? What if they can simply step between spaces? Rex, who had been quiet until now, spoke up. Your soldiers appeared inside our ships? How? Jinha glanced at Morrison, who nodded slightly. It's called quantum tunneling, Jinha explained. In simple terms, it allows matter to pass through other matter by shifting partially into another dimension. It's something we developed for mining operations originally. The Imperial commander stared in disbelief. Mining operations? Dex repeated. Yes, humans tend to adapt technologies for multiple purposes. Jinha leaned forward. Now let's discuss what happens next. What do you want? Rex asked quietly. The same thing we've always wanted. Recognition of human space as independent territory. A non-aggression pact with the Empire. Fair trade agreements. Dex's face darkened with anger. The Empire does not negotiate with the Empire, Jinha interrupted. Has never faced humans. Therefore, you have two choices. Accept our terms, or we activate the devices on your ships. And then what? Rex asked. You destroy our fleet? Jinha shook his head. No, we don't need to destroy you. The devices will simply take control of your ships and send them home, without weapons, without faster-than-light drives. It will take you years to return to Imperial space at sublight speeds. The Imperial commanders exchanged glances. The humiliation of such a return would be worse than death in their culture. You're bluffing, Dex said, but his voice lacked conviction. Aside. A demonstration, then. He nodded to Morrison. Across the Imperial fleet, 1 ship in 10. Suddenly powered down completely, then restarted with all weapon systems offline. The next demonstration, Jinha said quietly, will affect all your ships. Choose wisely, commanders. The silence that followed stretched for nearly a minute. Finally, Rex spoke. We will take your terms to the Emperor, Jinha nodded. That's all we ask. In the meantime, your fleets will withdraw from human space. As the transmission ended, Harin turned to Jinha. Do you think they'll honor the agreement? Jinha's expression was thoughtful. Perhaps, but if not... He looked at the tactical display, where the Lazarus protocol devices still glowed with power. They've only seen a fraction of what humanity can do when pushed. The Imperial ships retreated slowly, their once perfect formations now ragged and disorganized. Admiral Jinha watched from the bridge of the Indomitable, his face showing no emotion as the enemy fleet limped away. They're maintaining course. Out of our system, Harin reported. All ships accounted for. Jinha nodded. Keep tracking them until they're beyond our sensor range. Commander Quan approached, holding a datapad. Admiral, we've received a message from Earth Command. They want a full report on the Lazarus Protocol's performance. Tell them it worked exactly as designed, Jinha said. The temporal field contained. All weapons fire, and the quantum tunneling teams completed their missions with 0 casualties. They also want to know if we revealed the Prometheus technology, Quan added, his voice lowered. Jinha shook his head. No, that remains our last resort. Captain Morrison joined them, his scarred face serious. Admiral, I don't think the Empire will give up so easily. They've never been defeated like this before. Their pride won't allow them to accept it. I agree, Jinha said. That's why we're not standing down. All ships will remain at battle stations. And I want the Prometheus units ready, just in case. Morrison nodded and moved away to give the necessary orders. Jinha turned to Quan. What do you think the Emperor will do when he receives report? He asked. Quan considered the question. If he's wise, he'll recognize that humans are too costly to fight and agree to our terms. If he's proud, he'll send an even larger fleet, Jinha finished, with orders to destroy us at any cost. Do you think we revealed too much of our technology? Quan asked quietly. Jinha smiled slightly. No, we showed them enough to make them cautious, but not enough to truly frighten them. They still don't understand what they're dealing with, and if they come back, then we'll show them the truth about humanity, Jinha said. The whole truth. On the Imperial capital world, the Emperor sat on his throne, his ancient blue face twisted with rage as he listened to Rex's report. The throne room was vast, with towering columns and a ceiling that seemed to reach the sky. High-ranking Imperials stood in nervous silence as their ruler's anger grew. Impossible! The Emperor finally roared. No species could defeat our fleet. With such ease, no technology could do what you describe. Rex stood firm, though his posture showed his exhaustion. I witnessed it myself, Your Majesty. The humans have developed technologies we thought were theoretical. They can manipulate time. They can move through solid matter. They disabled 9,000 ships without destroying a single one. The Emperor's black eyes narrowed. You sound impressed, High Commander? I am concerned, Your Majesty. Rex chose his words carefully. The humans are not like other species we have encountered. They think differently. They develop technology in unpredictable ways. Because they evolved on a death world, the Emperor said. Dismissively, we know this already. It makes them resourceful, but it does not make them our equals. Grand Admiral Zar stepped forward. Your Majesty, if I may. High Commander Rex's report matches our intelligence on other species who challenged the Empire. The Altarians had phase technology. The Kronos Collective had temporal manipulation devices. We defeated them both. And took their technology, the Emperor added. Yes, Your Majesty. But the humans appear to have developed these technologies independently, and they've combined them in ways we never considered. The Emperor was silent for a moment, thinking. What do these humans want? Independence, Rex answered. Recognition of their territory? Trade agreements? Such modest demands for a species with such power, the Emperor mused. Why not demand more? Why not conquer? They claim they have no interest in conquest, Rex said. Their admiral told me humans only want to be left alone to develop in their own way. The Emperor laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the vast chamber. No species with power refuses to use it. They must have a weakness they're hiding. Something that prevents them from expanding as we do, he turned to Zar. Prepare the Imperial Armada, all ships, all weapons. We will crush these humans and take their technology for ourselves. Rex stepped forward. Your Majesty, with respect, I must advise against this course of action. The humans showed us only a fraction of their capabilities. They were careful to disable rather than destroy. If truly threatened, there's no telling what they might do. The Emperor's gaze turned cold. Are you afraid of these humans, High Commander? Rex straightened his posture. I am cautious, Your Majesty. As any commander should be when facing an unknown enemy with superior technology. Superior? The Emperor rose from his throne, his voice dangerous. Nothing is superior to the Empire. Nothing. He pointed a long blue finger at Rex. You will lead the Armada, High Commander. You will return to human space and you will not come back until their worlds are conquered or destroyed. Is that clear? Rex bowed his head. Yes, Your Majesty. Back in human space, preparations continued. The Terran fleet had grown, with ships arriving from colonies throughout human territory. They formed a defensive line around Earth and its closest colonies ready for whatever might come on Earth itself. The Terran Defense Council met in their underground chamber. Admiral Jinha attended via hologram from the Indomitable, his image standing in the center of the circular room. The Imperial ships have left our sensor range, Jinha reported. But our deep space monitoring stations are tracking unusual activity in Imperial territory. They appear to be gathering a much larger fleet. The council members exchanged glances. They were 12 men and women representing different regions of Earth and its colonies. "How much time do we have?" asked Councillor Park, an elderly woman with steel-gray hair. "Based on their movement patterns, 3 weeks at most," Jinha answered. "And your assessment of their intentions?" asked Councillor Chun. "They're coming back with everything they have," Jinha said simply. "The Emperor can't accept defeat. His entire empire is built on the belief that Imperials are superior to all other species." Councillor Rex, a tall man with dark skin, leaned forward. "Then we need to show them the truth, all of it." The room fell silent. Everyone knew what he was suggesting. "The Prometheus Protocol has never been used in actual combat," Councillor Park reminded them. "The consequences could be ... unpredictable. More unpredictable than facing the entire Imperial Armada?" Councillor Rex countered. The head of the council, a quiet man named Quan, raised his hand for silence. "Admiral Jinha, you face the Empire directly. What is your recommendation?" Jinha's holographic face was solemn. "The Empire won't stop until they either conquer us or understand why they can't. The Lazarus Protocol showed them our defensive capabilities. Now we need to show them why humans are truly different from any species they've encountered before." "You're recommending full activation of the Prometheus Protocol," the head counselor stated. "Yes," Jinha confirmed. "It's time to show the Empire what humanity really is." The council members looked at each other, the weight of the decision heavy in the air. "Very well," the head counselor said finally. "We will put it to a vote." 1. By 1, the council members voted. The result was unanimous. "Admiral Jinha," the head counselor announced, "you are authorized to activate the Prometheus Protocol when the Imperial Armada returns. May the stars watch over us all." As the meeting ended, Jinha's hologram faded. On the Indomitable, he turned to his officers. "Prepare the fleet," he ordered. "When the Empire returns, we'll show them what humans are truly capable of." 3 weeks passed quickly. The human fleet grew stronger each day as more ships arrived from distant colonies. Engineers worked around the clock, preparing the Prometheus Protocol devices for what was coming. Admiral Jinha stood on the bridge of the Indomitable, watching his crew with quiet pride. They moved with confidence, their faces showing determination rather than fear. Humans had always been at their best when facing impossible odds. "Admiral," Lieutenant Haran called from her station, "deep space sensors have detected the Imperial Armada entering the outer system." Jinha nodded. "How many ships?" 20,000, sir," Haran reported, her voice steady despite the staggering number. "The largest fleet ever assembled in the history of the Empire." Commander Quan joined Jinha at the tactical display. "They're not hiding their approach. They want us to see them coming." "Of course," Jinha said. "This is as much about pride as conquest now. The Emperor wants to make a statement." Captain Morrison approached, his scarred face grim. "Prometheus units are ready, Admiral. All ships report green status." "Thank you, Captain." Jinha turned to face his senior officers. "This will be unlike any battle in human history. What we do today will change the galaxy forever." He looked each of them in the eye. "Are there any questions?" Haran spoke up. "Sir, once we activate the Prometheus Protocol ... can it be reversed?" Jinha's expression softened slightly. "No, Lieutenant. Once revealed, this truth cannot be hidden again. The galaxy will have to accept humans as we really are." No one else spoke. They all understood what was at stake. "Very well," Jinha said. "Battle stations. Prepare to receive the Imperial fleet." "Hey!" High Commander Rex stood on the bridge of the new Imperial flagship, the Sovereign Might. It was 3 times the size of his previous command, with weapons that could destroy a small moon. Around him, 20,000 Imperial warships moved. In perfect formation, the largest military force ever assembled. Yet despite this overwhelming power, Rex felt uneasy. His warnings to the Emperor had been ignored. His concerns about human technology had been dismissed as cowardice. Now he led an armada to either victory or destruction, and he wasn't sure which was more likely. "High Commander," his communication officer called, "we're receiving a transmission from the human fleet." Rex straightened his uniform. "Put it through." Admiral Jinnah's face appeared on the main screen. He looked calm, almost serene, despite facing a fleet that outnumbered his by 10 to 1. "High Commander Rex," Jinnah greeted him. "I see the Emperor rejected our terms." "The Empire does not negotiate with inferior species," Rex replied. Though the words felt hollow in his mouth, Jinnah smiled slightly. "Still clinging to that belief? Even after what you've seen?" 20,000 ships, Admiral, Rex said. "The combined might of the Imperial Armada. Your tricks won't save you this time." "They're not tricks, Commander," Jinnah said quietly. "That's what you still don't understand. What no species in the galaxy has understood about humans." Rex frowned. "What do you mean? You're about to find out." Jinnah's expression turned serious. "This is your final warning, Commander. Turn your fleet around and leave human space. Tell your Emperor that we wish to live in peace, but we will not be conquered." Rex shook his head. "You know, I can't do that. Then I'm truly sorry for what must happen next." Jinnah ended the transmission. Rex turned to his tactical officer. "All ships, prepare to fire. Target their flagship first." On the Indomitable, Jinnah gave the order they had all been waiting for. Activate the Prometheus protocol. Throughout the human fleet, special devices powered up. They didn't look impressive, simple metal spheres attached to the hulls of ships. But what they did next defied all conventional understanding of physics. The space between the fleets began to change. It wasn't a weapon firing or a shield activating. It was reality itself shifting. A tier appeared in the fabric of space, directly in front of the human fleet. It wasn't black like a hole or bright like an explosion. It was simply different, as if someone had pulled back a curtain to reveal what was behind reality itself. On the Imperial flagship, alarms blared as sensors tried to make sense of what they were seeing. "What is that?" Rex demanded. His science officer stared at readings that made no sense. It's a rupture in space-time, sir. The humans have somehow torn open the barrier between dimensions." "Why?" Rex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "What purpose does this serve?" The answer came as something began to emerge from the tier. Not ships or weapons, but knowledge. There was no other word for it. Pure information poured out of the rupture, washing over the Imperial fleet like a wave, and with it came understanding. Rex gasped as his mind was suddenly filled with images, concepts, ideas that weren't his own. He saw Earth as it was millions of years ago, watched as primitive humans fought to survive against impossible odds. He felt their fear, their determination, their refusal to surrender to a hostile world. He saw human history unfold, the ice ages that should have killed them, the predators that should have hunted them to extinction, the diseases that should have wiped them out. Yet each time humans adapted, they changed. They evolved not physically but mentally, developing new tools, new strategies, new ways of thinking. And then he understood what made humans truly different. Most species in the galaxy had evolved in harmony with their environments. Their bodies and minds developed to fit perfectly into their ecological niches. But Earth had never allowed humans that luxury. Earth had tried to kill them every day of their existence. So humans had evolved differently. Not to fit into their environment, but to change it. Not to accept limitations, but to overcome them. Not to find their place in the natural order, but to create their own order. The Prometheus protocol wasn't a weapon, it was revelation. It was humanity sharing the fire of their minds with the galaxy. On his flagship, Rex fell to his knees as the full truth of humanity washed over him. Humans hadn't developed advanced technology because they were smarter than other species. They had developed it because they had to, because their survival had always depended on imagining what didn't exist, then making it real. Phase shifting, temporal manipulation, quantum tunneling, these weren't separate technologies humans had developed. They were expressions of a single truth. Humans refused to accept that anything was impossible. Throughout the Imperial Armada, the same understanding spread. Officers and crew members stood in stunned silence as they finally grasped what they were facing. Not just another species with different weapons, but a fundamentally different way of existing in the universe. Admiral Jinha watched as the Imperial fleet went silent. No weapons fired, no ships moved. The Prometheus Protocol had done its work. "They understand now," he said quietly. Haren looked up from her station. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from High Commander Rex." "Put him through," Jinha ordered. Rex's face appeared on screen. He looked changed somehow, his eyes wide with wonder and something like fear. "You ... Rex struggled to find words. "You're not just humans, you're..." "Possibility made flesh," Jinha nodded. "That's what it means to be human, Commander. We don't accept limitations. We don't believe in impossible. When reality tells us no, we change reality." "The Emperor must understand this," Rex said. "Oh, species must understand this." "That was the purpose of the Prometheus Protocol," Jinha explained. "Not to destroy you, but to show you the truth, so you would understand why the Empire can never conquer us." Rex was silent for a long moment. Then he straightened, his decision made. "The Imperial Armada is withdrawing from human space," he announced formally. "I will return to the Emperor with what I have learned today. The galaxy must know what humanity truly is." As the Imperial ships began to turn away, Jinha allowed himself a small smile. The fire of humanity, the refusal to accept limitations, the determination to overcome all obstacles, the ability to imagine new possibilities had done what no weapon could. It had changed the universe.